Grace and peace, everybody. Welcome to Berean TV. I'm going to try to address a comment that came in. I have about a couple of videos dealing with Walter Williams and Walter Williams claiming that Christianity was invented at the Nicene Council. Now, you hear all type of foolishness in the conscious community, but it's among certain people. You don't hear it as much because as certain people learn, they'll put certain things away. But you have people like Young Pharaoh, Ashwa Kwesi, Sarah Sutton City, and Ray Hagen specifically that'll make statements about the Nicene Council, about the virgin birth and Osiris and crucifixion and world's 16 crucified saviors, and it's a whole bunch of pseudo scholarship. It's false scholarship. I've often said in my other videos that people like Richard Carrier, who has a master's and a PhD in world history, who's an atheist, he said don't use 16 crucified saviors, yet people are still saying that Osiris was crucified and all of this other madness. One brother heard me speaking on the Nicene Council and crazy statements that Walter Williams made concerning Christianity and the origin of Christianity coming from the Nicene Council. And I just said that was impossible when we had church fathers, when we have Nero, when we have emperors and other people that have terrorized Christians for years prior to the birth of Constantine. And they worship Jesus as if he were some god, coming from Nero himself, coming from other historians back in the days. One brother said to me, he said, well, Berean, I have Walter Williams' book, Origins of Christianity, right here, and I don't have your book. I want to explain something to y'all, because it seems like in the conscious community, people don't understand that publishing a book, writing a book is just like getting online and posting something on the internet. I have books written by dozens and dozens of racists speaking just derogatory terms about black people. Because you see it in a book does not mean that it's a scholarly work. As a matter of fact, a lot of books that we see on people speaking about on the internet, we may see downtown Brooklyn in the streets of Harlem. We may see all in different places in Florida, in the mall, in Petersburg. They're not considered scholarly books. A lot of people are a little bit confused. They think because someone has a book or because someone has a lot of books, make them a deep scholar. And I'm going to give y'all an example. Dr. Malachi Z. York, he's incarcerated in the federal penitentiary. He's been incarcerated for about 16 years now for molesting children. He had the Ansar community down here in Brooklyn on Bushwick Avenue. Then they moved out to Georgia. And out there in Georgia, he continued with the Nawubian movement. He's been everything. He's been a Freemason. He's been a Christian. He's been a 5%er. He's been a Gnostic. He's been everything. He had a music studio. He was a singer. He was everything. But he was convicted for child molestation. Dr. Malachi Z. York have over 1,000 books, I believe Prince York said, that's in circulation and that's up for sale. His student, or the person that I would say is carrying his mantle that descended from him, but actually never really met him, recently admitted, was Polite. Brother Polite from the New Covenant movement. Brother Polite have about 100, he have about 100 books out. Having books out does not equate to scholarship. It seems like everybody else in the world understands that, except large number of people in the conscious community. Just because you have a book out, just because I read it in a book, automatically means that it's right. That could be that's so far from the truth. Now, there are a lot of, believe it or not, there are a lot of black real scholars out here. Dr. Dr. Watkins, Brother Gates, Cornel West. But for some reason, there are people in the conscious community that feel because Polite has more books than Dr. Watkins and tied to astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson or Brother Gates or Cornel West. Polite has more books than all of them, but that don't mean that Polite is a true scholar, or he's a heavier scholar, or he's more learnt than those brothers. There's a lot of people in the African American community that are learnt, that understand research, that understands how to study, and they don't pay any of the madness that the conscious community speaks. They don't pay it any mind. I just wanted to drop this short video to explain that because you see it in a book, doesn't mean it's real, doesn't mean it's legit, or doesn't mean it's sourced properly. Lipson, I believe his name, he has a book called Cited Right. Y'all Google that book. That's Cited Right. That's an interesting read, and that can help you out with scholarship and how you can begin to understand a book is truly a scholarly work. Are their sources proper? How can you go about pulling up proper sources? We're going to speak about that a little bit later on. A lot of times if you see something that's .org, maybe it's a good chance that they're telling a little more truth than something that's saying, let's say, a .com. That's a .com is someone that's selling something. We'll speak about that in the Saturday classes that we have coming up. Hopefully it's Saturday, but we're going to have some seminars in August. We're going to speak about that. But because you've seen the book, don't mean it's coming from a scholar. You've been watching Berean TV.